Okay, guys, here we go. Episode 14 of the Dirty Right Rear podcast. Myself, Jeremy Booyer, and Jeremy Sutton. And right after this commercial, we'll have Kevin Moser. Hey, guys, this is Jeremy Booyer and Jeremy Sutton of the Dirty Right Rear podcast. We want to shout out to one of our new sponsors, which we've talked about quite a bit lately, but Coles County Speedway, actually the oldest micro track in the United States, opened up in 1956. They're going to be running every Saturday night, outlaw wing, non-wing, A-class wing, restrictor, junior sprint, and mod lights. They'll also have several 2- and 3-day big shows all throughout the season that they're going to have, and is the home of the WFO Micro Series also, and you can check them out at colescountyspeedway.com or on their Facebook page, and their address is 10743 East County Road 900 North, Mattoon, Illinois.
Another new sponsor on the Dirty Right Rear podcast is Pettis Automotive. Pettis Automotive is located in Farmington. They have a selection that is second to none. Shopping with Pettis Automotive means having access to a wealth of new and used cars, trucks, and SUVs to choose from, whether you're intrigued by a Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. The story never changes. Pettis Automotive has exactly what you're looking for, all at a price that never leaves your bank account feeling beaten and bruised. They have on-site collision repair, parts, and a service department. Pettis Automotive is located on Woodlawn Drive in Farmington, right off Highway 67 at the Fairgrounds exit. Welcome to the podcast, Kevin.
Hey, thanks, guys. It's great to be here. Congratulations on getting this up and running.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's been fun. Have you caught any of our episodes yet?
I've seen a couple. Okay. I got to see a couple.
Okay. So we'll put you on the spot with some good questions, maybe. No, we won't go too bad, but tell us about yourself for those that don't know Kevin Moser.
I've been doing this for this will be my 25th year in racing.
Oh.
Yeah, I've done it a long time. We've been fortunate, had a lot of wins throughout the years, and it just started out as a hobby and has never quit.
I remember when I can't say when you first started racing because I don't remember that far. But my first memory of Kevin, you was racing with your dad.
Yeah,
that was really cool. That's not something many people get to do.
I got a picture that is really neat. Me and him both won our heat races one night, and we started the front row of the feature together. And Kirby got a real good picture of us, and that's pretty cool.
So I'm gonna say I remember you racing from about 2005 because Chad Conway from Leadwood hand painted your dad's car for sure. I don't remember.
No, it was my car. It was a 23 car.
Yeah. So that's when I first knew of Kevin Moser, and so I've kind of followed you ever since then.
So in 2000, we decided to buy a car from somebody, and it was an old car, and we was learning. Well, that winter we decided, hey, we need a car. Well, I talked to Brent Thompson and had Brent build me a brand new car. And it was pretty neat because the first night out in the car, we won our heat race with it, and it's been game on since then.
Now, was that a sportsman car at that time?
It's called hobby stocks back in the day.
Hey, to me, they're all pretty much the same.
It wasn't so far back in the day that it was the complete square.
No.
Oh, okay.
It was still the original, what I guess the late model nose before it went to the all.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't think you were old enough to have the old square nose or whatever. I don't even know what those things were.
The wedge nose, like what?
Real aerodynamic.
Yeah. No, so 01's when we wound up with this Thompson car, and it's been pretty good.
Ben, is that still the car?
Car you got?
Yeah. That's
holy cow!
The car we won with this year is the one Brent built in 01 for me.
Man, that thing still looks pretty pristine too.
So when are you going to double down and start running vintage car with it too?
Yeah, that's what we was talking about one day. He goes, man, that car is almost a classic now.
That is wild.
Dang, I didn't know that. I would never thought that because your car always looks clean and nice. So I would have thought you probably got new cars all the time.
No, that's we had that car built in 01, and the car Dad drove for a while. We got from Boyd in 04. Wow. 04, we got that car from Chris, and I keep on top of them.
So do you still have the Chris chassis too?
Yeah, I still got, in fact, I'll probably run that car a little bit this year. I'll have it out at play day, shaking it down.
So is that going to be I don't even know how Farmington's doing it this year.
Yeah, the two classes of the sportsman deal.
Are you going to run both?
No. Well, we talked about getting one of them pure street cars,
Okay,
but
pure. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, they split it up where we only get to run 8 nights this year for some reason. People just don't want to step up their game and get better, so we'll just travel around a little bit this year.
So what are your 2025 plans? And obviously run Farmington some.
Run Farmington some. We're going to try to run Peevely. Then we may make it out to Brownstown a couple times, and I want to try Jacksonville a few. I ain't been on a little quarter-mile track in a long time. I really like them tracks.
So if you go to, say, Jacksonville, what class would you run?
It'd be like a limited late model or sportsman up there.
Okay, and would you run sportsman at Peevely?
Yeah, we'll be running sportsman at Peevely.
All in the same car?
Yeah, depending on which one we decide to take for the night, but majority I always like the 23 car.
What the other car, will it be 40?
Yeah, it'll still be 40.
Okay.
Is it going to be orange?
Yeah, it's still orange, I think.
Is there something with the orange?
Well,
Because, I mean, I raced back in, like, say, 05 and all this, but I don't ever remember. I think I always remember the car orange.
in the mid-'80s, my dad raced for a few years, and he had an orange car. So when we started back, that was a deal. We had to get an orange car. Well, and it stuck, and everybody's like, man, you can really see that car out there on the track, and it always sticks out real good. So there was a couple years we had a black car because we couldn't get the orange metal for a while. Then there was a year or two I drove the 40 car, and I had it red, but we've always gone back to the orange.
Yeah.
In fact, it's got the orange body on it now, waiting to get lettered.
I don't know. I mean, I know the whole split classes deal, how they're doing some of that, and some people are stepping down, some stepping up or whatever, but I'm kind of glad they're doing it just so I can see you go somewhere else and actually race, because I think one of our earlier episodes I talked about, I said, Kevin Moser, and I said, I don't talk to him all the time. Of course I know him and stuff, but I said, he's got to be tired of going to Farmington and winning every race.
I don't know if you ever get tired of
I
that.
know. I mean,
it's...
I know you don't, but then because I probably only went to Farmington, 4, 5, 6 times or whatever, and I was just like, here we go again.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to win every race. We set out this year to do something I've never done. I mean, this was my first championship, and I didn't even really do it. Yeah, it was.
I didn't know that.
We've led several, and it seems like something always happens. At the end of the year, something stupid always happens. We break something, don't get to start the feature. And what was it, 20? We pretty well had it wrapped up, and was getting ready to go out for the feature, and the toggle switch went out, and we couldn't get the car fired up. And that Colin win it, and it just seems like something like that's always happened. Well, starting this year, I even told my wife at the time, it's like, I don't want to run for points. I'm over it. I just want to go race when we want to race. And she said, well, that's fine. We could do that. Well, we go out there and win the first couple. And Dad's like,
it's over. It's over.
We ain't never had a championship. I'd like to have one before we retire. It's like, I would too, but I ain't going to. It's just, that kind of pressure sucks because you got to live in the shop working on the car.
It becomes I think I talked about it, it becomes almost a part-time job.
Oh,
another job when you go home, because you're like, I got to go this week, go this week. And you're probably going to go every week, but when you have to, it sucks.
Oh, yeah. When you're running up front like that and you're actually competing in the points, it ain't one of them deals where you just glance the car over, wash it. Okay, we're ready to go. My schedule is when we come in on Sunday morning, I'd get up. If it's not raining, by 9 o'clock, my car's unloaded, setting out, getting power washed. By the end of the day, my tires are done, the car's clean, back in the shop, and I'm going over the car. And every day, I start at one point and work my way through the car, and all week long till the weekend, and start all over.
People might not think that, a street stock or sportsman, there's that much maintenance, but there's just as much maintenance on those, if not more.
I think those classes, there's more. The people, like, your sprint car, you have to have the maintenance, you have to do this, but the guys that run, say, not the lower classes, but the smaller classes or whatever, they're in it. I mean, these guys that run, like, even like some of the four cylinders, like the mini stocks back in the day, they live and breathe it. So, I mean, I think the lower classes, not not saying anything bad, but those guys, I mean, they love every bit of it. I mean, they bring some of the dirt home with them, probably put it in a bottle and be like, this was Saturday the 15th right here. Put it on the shelf.
Well, it's like with my car, maintenance is just like every other class. You take your shocks off, clean them, make sure all the heims are clean. And it's just, maintenance is I always preach at. It's the number one thing you got to have on your car.
Races are won and lost in the shop, right?
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Oh, yeah.
If you ain't on top of your car and think you're going to run up front with somebody that is on their car, it ain't going to happen.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a real stickler on how I do things with my tires being clean and ground and everything. Then you pull in on Saturday and you got a guy sitting there. Car was washed on the trailer. Tires had nothing done to it.
Tires cleaned and ground, and that's it.
Well, not even that.
Okay.
Guys, and nothing wrong with that. If you ain't got time, you ain't got time. But
I was getting it like a lot in the micro game stuff now. They're starting to really juice up their tires. So I didn't know if you were getting a little of that extra juice on there.
We swap out tires too much to even think about trying to do something like that.
Oh, man. It gets out of hand, that's for sure.
So, a random question I've never thought of until now, a sportsman or street stock, how long you get out a set of tires? Oh.
Depending on the track condition for the night and what compound we're running. So these tires we're running now, it's the same ones A mods, B mods run. And some people may be like, oh, you could get this out of them. But on a 60, when a track slicks off, if it glazes over, you could scuff it and maybe 2 nights.
Really?
Then I'll get rid of it and go to a new tire.
Wow.
Just because I don't want to take the chance.
Right.
Yeah.
Then the 30s, if you ain't hard on them, the 30s, I never even swapped front tires all year. Then just because we was running for points, I'd change my rear tires. But like the left rear, I could get 10 nights out of it.
Wow.
Then on the 30, we could get, on the right rear, we could get 8 nights, depending on how hard we are on it.
We want to welcome Premier Door Company to the list of sponsors for the Dirty Right Rear podcast. Keith and Paige Jackson with Premier Door Company out of Terre-de-Lac. They do all things garage door related. We got sales, service, and installation of any garage door equipment, garage door openers, any garage door problems you may have. You can call 573-783-7775 or look them up on Facebook at Premier Door Company.
Hey guys, this is Jeremy Booyer and Jeremy Sutton here with the Dirty Right Rear podcast. We want to highlight one of our sponsors, supporters, and everything else with Expert Graphics, Powder Coating, and Fabrication. Expert Powder Coating and Fabrication is a family-owned business out of Farmington over in the industrial park. You can go over there and get some graphics, lettering, anything for your race cars. Get some powder coating done for your race cars, any other kind of stuff. Get any kind of fabrication also done with them. You can come over there and talk to Andy Moss. He's in there just plugging away at the computer, designing everything, doing whatever he can. You got Dennis in the back with his lab coat, mixing up the powder coat, really getting the stuff going. And then you got Dan over there just fabricating anything and everything you want. But if you want to hit them up, Expert Powder Coating over in Farmington at the industrial park, you can give them a call, 573-756-7324. What's the price of a tire for those now?
Last one I bought was this past season. It was $195.
Wow.
Which is sad because when we started, you could get one for about $80.
And
or even fuel. I mean, the price of fuel now. I mean, it was $3 or $4. Now, depending on what octane you run, it could be anywhere from $10 to $18.
Yeah.
Ooh, man.
That's crazy because I remember when regular gas or just race gas was cheaper than the alcohol. You were like, man, I'm buying methanol. This is out of control. Now methanol really hadn't changed much. I mean, a little bit.
Yeah, I think methanol you'd still get for $3 or $4 maybe. But
it was always like $3 to $5, and now it's still about $5. So
yeah, it's depending on which engine I got in the car. We could run 110 on our small Peevely motor. Then if we got our open motor in, we got to run 117 in it. Well, that stuff's $18-$20 a gallon. So
And how many gallons you go through a night?
depending, we could burn up to 6 to 7 a night.
Man.
Then now with some of these tracks, purse change, you really got to think twice on, hey, do I really want to take a chance on that big motor? Because at night, you pay for a tire and fuel. Well, you don't even make your night's purse.
Right.
So
The cost of racing is obviously, it's crazy. You guys definitely don't do it to make money, that's for sure.
no, if we was in it for the money, then nobody'd be racing.
No, heck no.
And the cost for this year, we kind of offset it because we had a good season, but it don't get any better. You could win every night, and it still ain't going to cover what you spend for the year.
How often do you hear, well, Kevin Moser should move up?
I've had guys ask me why I haven't moved up, and we've discussed it and talked about it, and it just, when you got so much for the kind of cars we run, how do you start over?
Yeah, that's what we were when we talked to Rusty last week. I told him, I said, how did you go from the domination in modifieds and go to the late model? And he's still good, but guys are out there killing it. And I said, the same thing. And he's like, I've been in the late models for 10 years now. How do you go back? And you're starting from zero.
And that's like us having two cars. We got to have so much parts, spare stuff, engines. You can't give everything away to turn around and go buy new stuff. Yeah, we've done it a long time in this class, but it is.
And I don't really know I don't really personally think is like a moving up would be a modified or nothing. I don't see them being that big of a difference. I know there's money difference and stuff, but as far as people like, hey man, you need to step it up. I would think stepping it up, you could be jumping in a late model.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm saying.
We even discussed that with the new late model class coming to Farmington. We've talked about possibility trying to find one and seeing what it would be like running with the late models and that. But it just completely go from having everything for one car to just, well, okay, guys, because you almost got to give everything away now.
Oh, yeah.
Guys nowadays, well, that's used. I'll give you this for it. And the cost of it is just...
And you're not exactly, you're not an old man, but you're not a spring chicken either. So it's not easy starting over.
Oh, yeah. I just turned 46 back in December, and I got a couple more years on my job, and I'm looking to retire.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go out and spend another thousands of dollars to start over. I want to actually start getting out.
Right.
Jumping in a late model, I think retirement will be pushed back.
Well, you still got to have something to do.
Yeah.
You just can't sit there and stare at the walls and twiddle your thumbs.
But it seems like you guys got enough stuff where you retired, you'd still be rocking and rolling with what you guys got. Mostly if you had the same car since 01. I'm still kind of mind blown by this.
Yeah, that's wild.
I've been really fortunate with that car we've run. And there's been some years, we haven't run the car and we ran the 40 car, but I've been really, really fortunate that I've never bent my car where I've had to get a new chassis or something.
So that car's never been bent?
I've never crashed it severe. No. Now the 40 car.
Wow.
The 40 car in 16, I took a hard crash and we got hit head on. Somebody spun coming off of turn 2 and we hit head on, and I got hit in the door and it crushed the door up to my seat. Well, I got hurt pretty good that night. We rebuilt the car, and 3 weeks later went out and won a feature with the car after rebuilding it.
Wow. Now, how many street stocks did Brent really build at the time?
Oh,
because I was when I was hanging around like Billy and Brent and all them, I don't remember a lot of the stuff. So I always thought Brent was like pretty much the man when he was building them around here. Like his cars were really, really freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's been
I think, and I wanted to say, I thought he built a good handful of them around here at a time.
Back in the day, he had several cars.
That's what I thought.
He built a bunch of sportsmen.
Yeah.
Sportsman's, a lot of modifieds.
A couple modifieds.
I knew he did the modifieds, but I thought he built some sportsmen that were really, really good.
I know that year we had ours built. He built 4 of them that winter. It was mine, Casey Nations, Doug. No, it wasn't Doug Savage. It was the 70 Brad Mashik and Leonard Betch.
Oh man, that's getting back on when I was racing. I remember those names.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since.
So is your go ahead? I didn't mean. Is your 2025 plans to run for points at Farmington as of now?
There is no points for our class anymore at Farmington. With the split class, they done away with the points.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't either until I got to looking at everything, and so I guess they're going to just be like a fill-in class. Yeah. So, yeah, we're pretty well just going to, when we want to go, we go, race where we want to race.
So we'll expect to see you travel a little bit. And one question I have for you is, over the years, I don't know if you've kept track, any idea how many feature wins you've got? 4 or 5?
Well, we won 11 this year alone. It's in the mid-50s is what we've had.
So 11 wins last year, and how many nights did you race?
We ran 14 nights. We had 12 heat wins and 11 features.
So you won 11. Did Jason Neal win the other 3?
Jason Neal won 2, and Nubby's boy, one of Nubby's boys got to win 1.
So that's the thing we talk about. You winning all these this year, and talking about, is it fun? The nights I've gone, you're not blowing away Jason Neal. There's not a ton of difference between you and him.
No, I ain't gonna. It ain't like we dominated. Yeah. I mean, Jason ran right there with us.
Yeah,
it just. I think we was able to get through the corner a little bit better than what Jason could, and that's how we was able to get down the straightaway. I ain't taking away from nothing from Jason. Jason has a good car.
Oh yeah. There was there a year or two not long ago you didn't race? Took a couple years off.
Yeah, 22 and 23 we took the season off,
and that was Jason dominated those years.
Yeah. Well, before that, then 2021, it was a tough battle. Me, Jason, Colin Parmer, and we was.
Yeah, that was,
any night you didn't know who was going to win.
That was fun that year. There was a lot of excitement. We're going to talk with Colin about that today. I got some good questions on that year for him.
Yeah, he was able to edge me out 2 years in a row for the championship on then.
What one question we ask everybody is the Dirty Right Rear podcast is, what's the dirtiest right rear you've ever had thrown on you, and the dirtiest right rear you've ever thrown on somebody?
I really can't. I've had some pretty good hits in that, but far as really wrecking somebody, I just really don't do it. I'm real big about not tearing my car up.
Because then you got to fix it.
Hey, if you wreck it, you got to pay for it.
Right.
So, there's a difference between on-track racing incident or the stupidity of crashing a car. And I just ain't into it.
Yeah, I hear you there. If I was a race car driver, I wouldn't want to be fixing them all the time either.
Well, and if you do something on the track, 90% of the time, it just ain't your car you're tearing up or the other guy's car. Yep. You're always going to get somebody else.
Yep.
Then you're like, oh, man.
Then you feel bad because, this guy got caught up in it. So
it's just better not. It's better off just not do it and save your car and just go out the next week and beat them.
Yeah. What is there one win in your mind that sticks out over any other ones in your career?
Yeah, it was a win at Fredericktown one night. It was they had a big special race in 03 down in Fredericktown. And now this is going back a long time because Fredericktown ain't even been around for a while.
Yeah.
And it was a big show for our class down there, and there was 50-something cars show up. Ooh. And that was a lot of cars for Fredericktown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was a 50-lap feature, and we triple crowned the night.
Awesome.
So it was pretty neat to be able to come out and say, hey, you know, we pulled this off, and having so many good cars down there. You had Greenwall, you had Belkin, and the list just continues. And to come out on top, we had a good night.
Fredericktown, that's a track I miss. I didn't go too much, but
that
was a fun track.
The place was pretty awesome, man.
I went 2 years ago. I was out of work for like a month. I had surgery. Got bored one day and decided to drive down there and look. And man, it's all grown up, and most everything's gone now. But it still was exciting being there. And you know, I could see in my head the pit's full, and you know, that was a fun track. I could hear Jeff Mills announcing.
Oh, it was an absolute blast. That's where we got our first feature win at, was down in Fredericktown and that. And if you come down the front straightaway and it'd be nice and bright, you'd see going, then you come off of turn 2. About the time you straighten up off of 2, it'd be like, oh man, where's everything at? It's got pretty sketchy down the back straightaway, but it was such a blast.
Yeah,
it was sideways half the time around the track.
Right, yeah. I remember that. That was a fun track. I probably only went 10 times, but I enjoyed every time. Well, got anything else you want to cover with Kevin?
Not really, man. I mean, that's probably about it. We can't forget his sponsors and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
You got any sponsors?
We forget that every week, man.
Yeah, I do. I'd like to thank everybody that helped us last year that was on the car. Then we picked up a few new sponsors this year. We got Amtech out of Bakersfield, California. We got All Seal out of Imperial. Of course, our shop, my wife's, she's got Elite Notary. Then MCDC. Then I'd like to thank Federated Auto Parts for coming on board with us this year. So, cool. We got to pick up some new sponsors this year, and everybody's on board with what we want to do for the year. So,
who does your motors?
The past few motors we've had, I've been buying Mullins.
Oh.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you guys kind of did your own thing, or...
We used to. Then
I was bringing that up because I think I had this old green Dodge van with the bubble windows in the back, and I could have swore your dad worked on it for something.
He may have. But
I don't remember, and I thought for some reason he did something with the motor, or did something with something, because he was a Dodge guy. They had me bring it to him. This was years ago, and it was a goofy rig. But
oh, dude!
So I was like,
shag carpet.
Yeah, it had shag in it, and I took it to him, and I thought I'm about 100% positive something, and they were like, oh yeah, he does motors all the time or something, and he worked on this van for me. That's why I wasn't sure if you guys did your own motors or you took them somewhere or what.
Well, we used to do our own motors. Then in 2010, I had to transfer to Northern Illinois. I worked for Chrysler. And then we heard a motor. Well, neither one of us had time. He's cutting hay. I'm out of state. He's like, well, let's just start buying them. And when we was racing, we was up at Peevely. And Jeff Herzog was running Mullins engines up there. And he's like, that's what I want. If Herzog's fast, that's what I want to get. So, well, they ain't cheap. He said, it don't matter if they're cheap. He was, that's what I want. So we bought our first one. And a few years ago, they opened the rules up, and we bought our second one. And so, we've had real good success with Mullins engines.
Cool. Yeah, well, that's all I had. I just remembered my van days, and I thought, man, I think his dad did something. But
oh, yeah, it don't surprise me. We've been known to work on a few Dodges here and there.
So you're our first guest. We're bringing on all 4 of the Empire Speedway track champions from last year on today. And so we want to thank you as being the first guest, and good luck this year. We'll see you out at Farmington, Peevely, and who knows where else.
Yep.
Yeah, guys, appreciate it. Thanks. Congratulations to all the guys that is going to be on the show on the championships this year. May they get to repeat this upcoming year. And hey, good luck on the show in the future.
Thank you, man.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the show. We got Colin Parmer on now.
Welcome to the show, Colin.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on. I really love listening to the show, and I love what you guys are starting to do around here. It's pretty cool.
We appreciate the support, not only from you, but man, the support from everybody on this has been outstanding.
It's been pretty cool, and we thought we were going to do it twice, and then It kind of got addicting.
Yeah, I mean, I've wanted something like this, for our local area for I don't know how long. I mean, it's just something that it's really cool to tune into every single week and hear all the guys that like you see race.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what we.
How many times on our iRacing have we talked, just our group, about how bad we need a podcast or how cool it would be? Or
oh yeah, it's been years.
Yeah, we've talked about it for years, and
that's why we're gonna, we still are gonna travel everywhere and try to get all this other stuff. But we keep talking. We're gonna do, 50% of our show. We're still going to talk about, everything that goes on around here, because we like to talk about the people we see, and the racers like to hear their name, and then they like to hear their buddies' names, and then, everybody likes the drama. So, I mean, everybody gets into that.
That's what everybody tunes into.
Oh, yeah. Then we'll get to talk about, say you get into it with some guy, we'll get to talk the real big shit on it. Man, because
this podcast would have been awesome. And back, when was your and Tyler Worley's heydays? 2000?
It was 19.
Man, has it been that long ago?
Yeah.
But, dude, we needed this podcast then, because we could have had Tyler and Colin on every Sunday.
We would have given them something to watch for sure.
Oh, dude, yeah. So if you want a guaranteed invite on a Sunday, do something spectacular. And we'll get you on. Longest, we probably won't be there to see it, so long somebody's going to have to alert us to it. But then I'll emergency podcast Colin Parmer. So tell us, Colin, you're the 2024 Empire Track Champion and Doe Run Track Champion.
Yeah.
B-Mod class.
Yeah, we had a pretty good year with both cars. We were on a different car, at each track. And, yeah, it was a long, stressful season. Farmington we did a lot better at Farmington than we did Doe Run. But, yeah, we couldn't ask for more, and hopefully have the same results this coming year.
You going to run for points at both tracks again this year?
I'm a run for points at Farmington for sure. Doe Run, I think I'm done out there.
Okay, so I can say something now. I didn't want to say it, but I remember, Jeremy, you talk about how, Doe Run, you got to watch what you post. And I made a comment on one of Colin's posts last year, and I messaged Colin afterwards and said, dude, I'm sorry. I said, but my comment probably just lost you the championship. And he fully expected to get kicked out for my comment. And I don't remember, it wasn't nothing directed at Colin. It was something directed towards Tommy, that he had done something to Colin. And I'm afterwards, I'm like, dude, I said, I need to delete that because you're going to get the brunt for that. And he said, no, leave it. And fully expected the next night to go out next week and get kicked out. But luckily it didn't happen.
Well, the last night of the year, and me and Doe Run, I'll just say Doe Run, has had our differences in the past, but the last night of the year, I had the points lead, and all I had to do was make one lap in the feature, and I thought, if I go out there and race the heat race, I don't know where I'd start, but I said, I don't want to get close to anybody, I don't want to have any reason to be any issues,
all right.
So we unloaded the car, and we played it off good, like we took the hood off, like, something's wrong with the car, this or that, but yeah, went out there, made I think 2 laps in the feature and pulled off, sat on the roof, and I watched the feature.
Nothing wrong with that. So you do plan on running for points at Farmington this year? So
yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's just so close to home, and I'll say it's one of my best tracks.
Right.
I love Farmington. We've always run good there. And I love traveling. We did that for a couple years, but I mean, when you get down to it, like the financial side and this or that, I mean, it just makes sense to go to Farmington.
I laugh at that a little bit internally because you're an adult now, you're paying for stuff. So it's different than,
yeah.
Not saying that, that dad paid. I'm not going that route. I'm just saying, it was easier to do back when you traveled. You didn't, have your own place and responsibilities and
yeah. So it's kind of like, I think it was 2022 we did some traveling, man. We just had a couple bad weeks stack up on top of each other. And it's like, it's so fun going to different tracks, going to different places, but it's like,
it'll wear you out.
Yeah, it wears you out.
It'll wear you out,
like,
man.
When you're doing 2 and 3 hour drives every single weekend, it's like, there's a track that's 25 minutes from me that,
And I mean, we've been talking kind of crap on some tracks or this and that, but Farmington, is going in the right direction. I mean, having Daryl on put a whole new perspective in there. And I know a lot of people still going to bitch and complain or whatever, but after getting to listen to some of the stuff that he deals with and everything, I think he's trying. So
Yeah.
I think it's going in the right direction. Him, he's going to have some more maintenance stuff and, a guy working the track a little more and this and that. He's picking up, some more bigger shows. And I think Farmington's kind of headed back in the right direction. So I think, and when people say, I got to go to Farmington, it's right here. You kind of want to now. I mean,
I do. Yeah. I have so
why
much
wouldn't you?
respect for Daryl because, for him to put up that kind of money to walk into that situation,
Yeah.
dude's got balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
We all thought, man, he's crazy.
Well, everybody knew somebody was, I say that, when everything kind of went down with the whole deal with a bunch of people, but, no one really knew who was going to take it over. And then everybody kind of was like, oh, crap.
yeah.
No one's going to take it over.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've said it many times, leaving there that last night of 2023, I thought it's done. And luckily, obviously it's not the case, but
Yeah, like I said, I have so much respect for Dale, and I know everything's not perfect with his first year, but
Right.
The overall perspective of it, I think he's done great. To bring it back to
Right.
to where people, like you said, want to go.
To go, yeah.
and yeah,
They don't feel like they have to because they can't afford to travel, but then they have to go to Farmington, and then you're stuck with like, do I even keep a car?
exactly.
And now I think people are like, man, that's kind of going back to where it needs to be. Let's build something else.
So on Friday nights, will you do any traveling to, Benton or Poplar Bluff or anything like that?
I think so. I think we don't have any necessarily set plans. Poplar Bluff too. I enjoy that track. I'm thinking a mixture between Brownstown, Tri-City, Poplar Bluff, Benton. It's not going to be every week, every Friday, but if they have a race going on and we want to head down there, we're going to.
So that's the luxury. You have 2 cars that you can race. And
Three, actually.
What's that?
We have 3 now.
Oh, do you? Okay. 3 B mods?
3 B mods.
Okay. So that's luxury. You can have your Farmington car, and then you can have a car you can travel with. And it's not quite as big as workload on Saturday to get ready.
No. It's I'm extremely fortunate to have multiple cars to where you can go different places, and tracks like between. I know Peevely runs open B mods now, but before it was just pro mods. So we have a Farmington car and then a pro mod. And a pro mod, you can take it anywhere.
Right.
So
when last week Rusty was talking to us about the whole, there should be B mods or pro mods or whatever, and then late models, no A mods. I was like, he's crazy. When I got thinking about it,
it makes sense.
that's true.
Yeah, it's
Dude, there was times, at Farmington last year, huh? Colin, I don't know if did you win an A mod show in your B mod?
no. We got close, but
There was B mods winning A mod against the A mods last year. There's times, and even in a heavy track, that Colin and his B mod turns faster laps than 90% of the A mods on a heavy track.
I'm kind of just talking more like the money issue. You're going to spend that much money in an A mod. You could probably build you a crazy B mod for that kind of money and have parts out the ass. And then why would you, even because when he said that, I was like, well, that don't make no sense. And all week, and I would listen to it and everything, I was like thinking about it, and I was like, that kind of makes sense. You got your good B mod class, and to step up to an A mod, you're really just throwing more money out. So why not get a late model if you're going to spend the same amount of money?
yeah. Right.
What do you ever see yourself stepping up out of a B mod?
If the financial situation is right,
What would you want to step into?
probably a sprint car.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now we're talking the juice.
I've always wanted to get in one. I think maybe I'll hop in one this year, hopefully, if the situations are right. But
And I know what car it is, but I ain't going to say. Did Dad paint that car again this year?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. It's I would love to hop in that thing, man.
Oh, dude, that'd be a good one to hop in.
Oh,
Yep.
I know. And my buddy Mike Crater, he's got sprint car now.
Really?
Yeah, so he's going to be out there too.
I didn't know that.
I'd love just to hot lap one, one night and just to see. I'm scared though because I know if I hop in one and hot lap it,
It's over.
all 3 cars are going to be for sale next week.
Jeremy's got to drive a sprint car a few times.
I've drove Doc Sloan's, which was really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
I drove it a good handful of times, and I think I said the same thing last week. I told my dad, I said, no, we're done. We're going to end up living in a trailer down by the river if we end up doing this. I said, let's just quit.
One thing we want to do, Colin, give you a chance to thank your sponsors.
Yes, AAA Zollner Materials. They have been with me for the past 2 years. They're huge help to us. Of course, my dad, Parmery Finishes, Menden Paul's, Fisher's Quarry, Don Heil Oil. Our engine builders, we have Keith Hare and Johnny Vogt. They're both they keep our cars up front, and I got to thank my grandpa. I mean, he's the main head of the whole operation here, and there's so many great people that help us along the way.
I know your grandpa and your dad help you a lot in the shop and behind the scenes, and
Man, we kind of got to thank grandpas around here, because every one younger guy that comes in here, their grandpa is killing it.
Yeah. I couldn't do it without him. I'll be the first to tell anybody. It's if he didn't help, and I mean, he does so much, but if he wasn't there, I'd be in the stands.
That's boy, we talked about Denny. He's with Cole's grandpa, and then we had a couple others, and I'm like, man, it's kind of becoming a trend where grandpas are kind of the.
I can remember a story here, and you've probably not heard this story, Colin. There were several years ago that you were still running the Pure Street or Super Street, and I was with Chris Boyd Sr. and Bub was all together, and you messaged Bub and asked, "Hey, Bub, you think you could pick your dad's brain and for setup advice?" And Big Chris was like, "Why is he asking me? His grandpa knows more than I do."
Yeah, so, I remember that. I do remember texting that. That was right when I first started. But see, my uncle raced back in the 90s, and my first year was 2017. And it was it was the same but different at the same time. Right. So it's like, we had to, he knows so much, but we also had to relearn all the new stuff that had come in, especially tires. Tires was a big one.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. So that was one thing I wanted to ask. How did you get your start in racing? I know you, a little bit, you said you grew up with a family, but tell us about that.
Yeah, well, my uncle raced before I was born, and we've always went. I mean, every weekend we're Peevely, Farmington. We went all over the place. He used to go to Knoxville every year.
And your uncle still races, doesn't he?
He got back in it once I started. Yeah,
I thought so.
But we just I was in high school at the time, and I wanted to for years. I kept trying to convince my dad, my grandpa. It was always too much money, cost too much, too much time, this or that. And finally my dad's like, well, we're gonna go get a car. He wanted one, so we went up and bought one, built it, made it really nice, and it took us all winter to build it, and it was such a nice car and everything. And me and Dad kind of stepped back and looked at it, and we were like, I've never driven anything. I wasn't a go-kart kid or nothing, and we had such a nice car, and he's like, I don't really want you in it, So my grandpa ended up buying an old asphalt street stock. It was an old Camaro. I mean, stock 400 motor, automatic transmission. And I got in that. That was my first car, and my uncle raced my good car until I knew about what I was doing.
All right. Now, your first good car, was that the Brian Worley chassis?
No, this one we bought from a guy. God, I don't even remember where we got it. He's somewhere up north.
Sit down somewhere.
But we had it for 2 years, and then we got the Worley car after that.
Okay. And that car's still kicking butt down in Arkansas, isn't it?
Yeah. That guy that bought it, he came, picked it up, and he took off with it.
Yeah. Do you miss the street stock?
Every day.
Every day?
Oh, man.
What would you go back if you could?
It's hard just because the street stocks now are not what they were when I had one.
Right.
They've kind of come back to a factory stock, and I don't think so. I miss it just because of it was such a good car, but I really like modifieds.
Man, you guys, and that's back when you was running Street Shocks. That was a fun class at that time. You know, we just had Kevin Moser on, and you know he goes out every week, and we all know,
Yeah, ho hum.
he's gonna win. You know, more times than not. But man, back when you was running Street Stocks, it was fun. He was still up front then too, but he talked about the 1 year points deal that he gave it up to you on the last night. His car wouldn't start.
Yeah,
Going out to the feature, and
me and him, we were neck and neck all year. And between me, him, and Jason, we knew what the top 3 was going to be.
Right.
We just didn't know where we were going to finish. You know,
Right. Yeah.
But those were some good years.
So there's one question I'm looking forward to asking you, and you're already laughing. You know what's coming.
I know it's coming.
So let's hear about the dirtiest right rear you've ever been given, and the dirtiest right rear you've ever given someone.
The worst one I received, I've never really like taken a hard one, because I'm always the guy, if I know it's coming, I'm dropping gear, I'm going to the bottom, we're going to cross you over, you know. But yeah, I don't think I've ever received a terrible one. I know I've given some, you know, but
Everybody avoids this.
yeah,
They do. And
There's a couple guys that be like, yeah, John Smith, screw him.
Yeah.
He took me out.
Yeah.
So the worst one
That's what we're looking for.
The worst one that I threw that I thought I was going to clear was down in Crowley's Ridge. My first ever feature win. I started 14th in the feature. It was a single file line up high, and I was against the tires on the bottom. We had a restart with like 2 to go, and I was running second. Never won a feature. And I was going to win that one. I seen him go high, and I drove in on the bottom. I started pushing. I had the wheels cut all the way, and I never lifted, went all the way to the wall. He climbed it. That was probably the worst one. And then I got Neubauer pretty bad a couple years ago. We were down at Benton. But I've been between them two is probably them.
Did you end up winning that feature at Crowley's Ridge?
Oh, I did, yeah.
Did you get a police escort out of town?
I did not. So
I'm surprised.
that guy was super cool. So he came up to me after the race, and I'm 17, and nobody there knew me. Like I think my best finish was like a 5th at Farmington, and he asked me, he's like, "Have you ever raced before?" And I'm like, "Not like this is my first year and a half." And he goes, "You ever won a feature?" And I said, "No, that was the first one." And then he looked at me, he's like, "You look like you're in high school." And I said, "I am." And he goes, "You need to learn how to throw a slider." And then he walks off, and I heard him say, "I just got beat by a high school kid," as he was walking off. The guy was super cool though. Like it was awesome.
Yeah, I can. That would have been, you know,
He was probably ready to fight, and then he
Yeah.
seen you, and he's like, "Shit, I can't hit
So,
this
'cause,
kid."
like I seen him walking. Guy was getting out of the car as he was walking to me, and you can tell when it's somebody's.
Oh, yeah.
It's about to go down. And I get out, take my helmet off, and he just kind of glances at me for a second. But
Well, that's the bad thing about nowadays on the track. When you're on the track and you wreck somebody and you walk up, you don't know if they're 12 or 68.
exactly.
So you may be grabbing some helmet, and the kid's like, "Hey, stop!"
Yeah.
especially in the micro scene that you're
Micro's
used to.
awful. Some of them are 7, and you're feeling bad. But yeah,
Right.
except Zane's, I tell him just wad it up, man. Whatever. But
So how many feature wins do you have, Colin?
I counted last year. I was right around like mid 40s. I got 11 this year. I would say probably mid 50s.
Really?
Somewhere in there.
so when you were talking about running Doe Run and then run Farmington, and you obviously ran a different car, was the work on the Doe Run car way more? Because it seems like, man, they just beat them to pieces down there.
It was, I mean, I don't know, because my Doe Run car, like as bad as it sounds, that did not get the attention that the other one did. You know, that was kind of the car, it's take it out of the trailer, wash it, throw it in the garage, load it next Friday. My Farmington car, that was the one that we took out. We really
That
did
was your
everything.
baby.
It was, yeah. It
You
was.
have the same motors and everything in both of them, or different?
So the Doe Run car had a crate motor, and my Farmington car had our big motor.
Okay. Well, somebody told me you had a Poodle Power motor or something.
Poodle Power.
Poodle
I do have poodles on my car.
Oh,
They're on the
okay.
nose. It might be the Poodle Power. Yeah.
Okay, one of them, a guy I know said, "Hey, you need to ask him. I think one of his motors is Poodle Powered."
Is it Jason?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I need to start telling people I have 4 horsepower, 4 animals on the nose.
That's funny. What's your favorite track to run on? I know you've been quite a few places, so.
Farmington is one of them, just because of the uniqueness, but Lake Ozark's probably the other.
Yeah.
I would run that track over just about anything, you know.
I know people off air can't see, but I bet there's a guy in our studio right now that disagrees with that statement.
It might be different with like sprint cars, but I've never raced there in a modified. I've only raced there in a street stock. I want to go in a modified, but
Yeah.
man, that track is like, I just like how wide it is, and it's not like a track to where you can make moves even if the track work is not on point there. I feel like, you know, it's one of my favorites.
You said you ran at Poplar Bluff. You ran there?
Yeah, I've ran there quite
I
a
only
bit.
went there a couple times last year, but it seemed like that track was fast.
So it's
It looked like it
weird.
was 2 drag races and then a corner. You know, you just but it looked fast.
And it's like sand down there. So like, I've never raced Poplar Bluff and gotten out of my car and been like, man, this thing's awesome. You know, every time I go down there, we've won features. I'll go down there with the same car. I'll win the feature and I'll finish 12th. You know, that's one of those tracks where it's so hard to be consistently good down there, but it is a fun track.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a huge budget down there to keep up with everything
don't either.
But I mean, it's still cool that it's there. And I mean, we went there a couple times, and actually, I think Sprint Cars were there once, and I watched Mod Lights actually run there, and I was like,
Mod lights are scary fast.
yeah, that's what I was like, man, and it didn't look fun.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like, which, and when I always talk about them as some of the tracks, they don't look fun, and some of them they do. But yeah, down there, they were just hauling the mail and then drag racing back and then drag racing back. And I was like, man, this track's a little sketchy.
I love sprint cars down there.
Yeah, now those were,
Yeah, I think they only had a few select races.
Yeah, they don't do it often.
Man, the sprint cars down there.
there wasn't many there when we were there. I don't even remember.
No, if they could get like 20 of them down there.
Right. Yeah. What is all the tracks you've run on? What's your least favorite?
I gotta say Benton.
Really?
I'm not a Benton fan. Nothing against the track, nothing
Right.
against the people. I just
See, and everybody, this is getting back to a little weird stuff because everybody just talks about Benton and says how awesome it is and everything. And I like going down there and watching, but every time I go down there, the track sucks.
the
Place sucked. I mean, everybody still go to Benton. Don't be yelling at me. Go to Benton, support it, do whatever you want. And I'll probably go there a couple times this year to watch certain things, and I like it. But man, every time I've went there, it's been like insane slick or so much mud that the mud didn't clear off till the feature or something. Like I've never went down there and been like, man, that was the shit.
I'll tell you what, though, last 2 years, some of the best Hell Tour races, late model, have been at Benton.
Now I never got to watch any of those, so
Especially 2 years ago. And was it Drake Troutman?
and Winger, I think.
Yeah, Winger, man, they were they didn't hold back. They were throwing sliders, bouncing off the wall. You know, their quarter panels were gone. It was awesome.
I could see you getting a good handful of late models, or even if you had a bunch of sprint cars there, blowing the track off and it making the track good. But every time I went was a normal deal or something, and it was always like, man, they watered it for 6 days because it was still muddy. I mean, all the way to the feature, or well, they didn't water it tonight and it took rubber or something. But yeah, every time I went, I've just had not a great racing experience, but their food's good and place is pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, I have nothing against it. It's just one of those tracks where it's like
tough to get around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we've even ran good there. It's just one of those where it's like it's not. It's missing something for me. But
We ran micros there in the early 2000s, but it was, people don't like them at Farmington because they say they're boring and this blah, blah, whatever. But at Benton, I mean, you were sitting there, you had your leg up, you're just steering with one hand, tuning the radio. I mean, it was a long race. But yeah, Benton it hasn't been the greatest in my book either for even watching stuff, but still go there, everybody.
You got anything else you want to cover with Colin?
I think that's about it, man. I just had to get my poodle in there because I knew Jason would get me.
They'll be on it this year again.
Oh, really?
I'll have 'em,
Okay,
yep.
okay.
You got anything you want to talk about, Colin?
I gotta come
Be here all night.
Yeah, I know. This gets bad. This gets bad. That's why we're trying. Since we got 4 people today, we're like, we can't be sitting here talking shit and doing all this. We gotta get down to it, man. We gotta get this.
Trying to make it short and sweet today. So
yeah, I have to. I mean, I went to Farmington a handful of times, but we gotta get to more of the local stuff this year, so I can understand what half people are talking about when they're talking about some of these guys I don't remember because I didn't go there since the 2000s and only go a couple times a year, but. Yeah, we'll definitely be out there and see you, man.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be out there all year, and I might bring couple cars every now and then. Run A mod and B mod, and I'd really like to get in a sprint car. Teach Casey something.
There you go.
I mean, he ain't tough to beat or anything.
I know.
All right, Colin. Well, thanks for coming on, and
I appreciate it.
We wish you good luck this year, and we'll be in touch and keeping up on you.
Yep, we'll see you out there.
Guys.
Thank you.